practicing. This is one of your routine early morning practices, along with your fellow congressmen and some senators, and you get together, and this is supposed to be, you know, a summer activity, obviously, of camaraderie, and then all of this breaks out. Can you tell us, just for people who are just joining us, recall for us what happened when you heard that first shot?
Well, I'm not sure if it was immediately after the first, second, or third shot because they were pretty quick in succession, but I heard Steve Scalise scream. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was clear that something bad happened. And you know, at the same time I hear the bangs, I look in that direction, I hear the scream, I see the rifle behind the third base dugout, probably about 10 or 15 feet past the third base dugout on the left field side, but the third base dugout is obscuring the view of those of us who are batting. The man continues to fire. Steve Scalise by now is on the ground, and you don't know how bad he's hit. Then I see the man himself with the gun, and it's about that time that I figured that if I can see him, he can see me, and I'm one of the closest targets to him. And that's when I decided it really wasn't too smart to be standing right there. And I ran around to the first base side of home plate. We had a batting cage. If you've ever been to a baseball field, you know what they look like. They've got plastic about 4 feet high, and then a chain link top to catch foul balls. And hid behind the blue plastic and laid down there, and the gunfire just seemed to never stop.
Yes.
Congressman, just to remind people,
the guy may decide to go around the third base line, in which case he would have a direct shot at those of us who are lying next to home plate behind the blue plastic. And that's when I made the decision, I think, along with the 2 or 3 folks who were with me, prone on the ground, to try to get to the first base dugout if we could. And fortunately, while the gentleman was still shooting at people in the outfield or in the infield, gentlemen, I shouldn't use that word, while the man, the shooter, was doing that, ran into the dugout and dove head first onto the concrete where there were some other prone players as we're trying to get out of gunfire range.
Congressman, just to remind people, you've been giving us names of people who are there. I hope you take some consolation in the fact that people from all over the country are expressing not only their great regret about this, but they want to make sure that you're all okay. They care about their elected representatives, and they want to know if their people are there from their own home state and district. I want to go through the names that you've given us. The president of the United
States. Roger Williams was there. He's one of our coaches. Coach Joe Barton, both of them are from Texas. He was there. They were probably around home plate at the time. That's normally where they position themselves.
Right. And you've said DeSantis.
During, batting practice.
You said DeSantis, Fleischman, Paul, Flake, Winstrop, Palmer, and, of course, you. Do any other names come to mind other than the 2 you just gave us, Williams and Barton?
There were at least another dozen, but
okay.
You know, I was so shook up and I was so focused on other things. I wasn't taking down names. I wasn't doing the roster.
Understandable. Just trying to get names out there for people who want to make sure their representatives are okay. The President of the United States just put out a statement. The VP and I are aware of the shooting incident in Virginia and are monitoring developments closely. We're deeply saddened by this tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with the members of Congress, their staffs, Capitol Police, first responders, and all others affected.
And in fact, we know that Steve Scalise, who has been injured, he did meet with President Trump yesterday in the Roosevelt Room. We are waiting for an update on Steve Scalise's condition, as we are with all of the other people, the staffer, Congressman, who you described putting your belt around as a tourniquet, who was hit in the calf, that you described, 2 law enforcement officers, a Capitol Police or Secret Service officer. These are just the 5 that you saw injured, and we don't have any numbers yet from authorities, Congressman.
And Steve Scalise, he never lost consciousness in my presence. He was conscious the whole time. Of course, he was in pain and he was prone, and we were trying to get liquids into him. Some of us were, as Brad Winstrop tried to tend to him. we were very fortunate to have Brad Winstrup there.
Yes, a doctor, a practicing physician, and we are watching there. That we just saw a minute of the chopper that landed there in the ball field to take the worst injured away. Here's Senator Jeff Flake, I believe, that we're seeing be interviewed right now on Capitol Hill. I mean, sorry, at the baseball field. But we did watch somebody be airlifted in that chopper, and you are not sure, nor are we, who was requiring that level of medical attention.
Well, the two people who seemed the worst injured, other than the shooter, were Steve Scalise and one of our security detail. So I would hope that if whichever one of those had the most serious injury, that's the one that they would have taken. That's normally what you do in triage situations. And I'm sorry, I couldn't see which one it was. But the chopper landed within about 20 or 30 feet of where Steve Scalise was prone on the ground. But as you can imagine, at that point in time, the law enforcement officers were trying to encircle us and put us in a safer position as opposed to being scattered around a baseball field where they felt they could better protect us if we collected in one spot, and then they circled around us.
And in terms of, you guys acted on your own and you needed to. If it weren't for Scalise being there, because he's in the presidential chain of succession as the House GOP whip, he gets security, right? So that was his security there. Senator Flake is speaking right now. We're going to listen in, Congressman. Hopefully you can hear as well.
All right.
Who was shot? Steve Scalise was shot. Steve was laying out. He was playing second base, fielding balls at the time. Steve's okay, we believe. But Steve dragged himself about 15 yards off of from near second base onto the field. But was laying motionless out there, but couldn't get to him until the shooting stopped. After a time, another staffer ran in with a leg wound, shot in the leg. I think it's Zach, one of Roger Williams' staffers. He'd been shot in the field and just continued to run, limp, and into the dugout. And we got a belt and put it around the wound and tried to keep it. Joe Barton's boy, 10-year-old boy, was here, and he was 10. And we got him in the dugout and put him under the bench. I got a look at the shooter who was just behind the backstop there. Just a man with a blue shirt. And he could have fired into the dugout while we were there. So we went down there. And then somebody finally, after about 10 minutes, yelled, "The shooter's down." And so I sprinted out to Steve and put pressure on the wound. He was shot in the left hip.
So the shooter was shot. Did you get a better look at him?
Did he yell anything, Senator? The shooter, there was a lot of yelling going on. I could not tell what was, if anything, was the shooter.
The shooter was or wasn't shot?
The shooter was shot.
So, Senator,
I believe he's still living.
Senator, how many members were shot?
One member shot.
Okay, Roger Williams?
We just saw him leaving a stretcher.
Yeah, Roger Williams.
Roger was not shot. A lot of people had some few injuries diving into dugouts and around. So a lot of people scraped out.
And so the 50 shots.
I don't believe any deceased at this point. One person, Tyson Food, I think, comes out here and helps. He was shot in the chest. He is probably the most critical at this point.
Senator, is your sense that
two of the security, two of the security detail were shot. Yes.
Is your sense that this shooter knew you guys were out here and targeted you guys purposely?
You would assume so. It's not clear whether Steve Scalise, the member that was shot, was targeted or not. We just don't know at this point.
How many players?
He was certainly in a bad place.
So he was playing second base?
Yes.
Okay, how many players were on the field? I mean, you had
A number. Oh, yeah.
How many members were here, Senator?
Members here, probably 25.
Senator, we're just joining us, for those who are just joining us, can you kind of start us from the beginning of exactly what happened from when you were playing and when you first realized there was a problem?
Well, a number of us, I just batted and then just fielded some balls in center field and came in and was standing near Joe Barton watching some of the batting practice. And all of a sudden we heard a shot, a very loud shot that everybody thought sounded like a gun, and then boom, rapid succession after that. He had a rifle of some type, and it was obviously a large gauge rifle. And there were people in the field. One staffer was shot out in the field, and he ran with a wound.